Welcome to Accountex North 2024 from Ask the Accountant for another podcast Pitstop. And we have probably the most requested guest of all time, ready and waiting to spill her guts, tell us the stories that we want to be told about, and explain why she went in and created her own podcast that you definitely need to go and look at. Rachel, I feel like this shouldn't be an introduction, but I have to. It says here, who are you and what you do? It just feels like, why bother? But tell people, for the 5 people in the world who don't know who you are, please tell everyone who you are.
For Aaron's mum.
Yeah, she definitely doesn't know.
So I'm Rachel Harris. I'm a disruptor in the accounting industry. And so I'm trying to disrupt what it means to be an accountant, what it feels like to have an accountant, and disrupting the concept that you can't scale a practice without losing yourself along the way. So through doing that, I am a full-time content creator in Accountancy, where I create long and short form, completely free, accessible, consumable information, all about being an accountant, what a day in the life of being an accountant is like, and for business owners as well. That's Accountancy. And then StriveX Accountants is a rapidly scaling firm that I own with my husband. We are currently valued at £1.5 million. We started on our dining room table 4 years ago. And yeah, we've got an Oxford office, a Manchester office. We are about to launch our audit line. We do HR advice, financial planning, and mortgage advice. And Aaron's my best friend, so I'm excited to chat.
I can't wait for this. So please, let's wind that back. Why disrupt such an industry that just was going along so fine?
It was, honest, for some people.
Debatable.
Okay, so rewinding a little bit, I was a free school meal child and a charity shop kid, and having access to money actually made becoming an accountant quite hard for me in terms of not being able to afford the bus to work because I was on the apprenticeship minimum wage, and so having to have 3 extra jobs at the same time. All of the way through to my first office job, I really struggled to buy the clothes that I needed to wear to work because all I'd worn prior to that was my school uniform. And so, yeah, just trying to lower the barriers to entry. Just had a really great piece of press with Mensa magazine about being the poster child for what new intelligence looks like. And yeah, that's my long-term goal.
I love it. And speaking of goals, you are the one person I know more than anyone else who has that vision board and then has to keep creating new vision boards and then ticking that one off and creating new ones.
It's proof they work.
They do, yeah. And I think what I love the most about it is your honesty and the fact that you're sharing that story just to that one, because all you want really is that one person to listen to that, feel inspired, and job done for you, isn't it?
100%. And I think it's very easy to post about the vision board moments without sharing the fact that you wanted that for 2 years before.
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid to be embarrassing or cringy and be like, I want to be a dragon on Dragon's Den. I literally have myself superimposed over Deborah Meaden on the line of Dragon's Den. And every single day I'm like, what can I do to get one step closer to that? And when it finally happens, my audience who've been here since now will be like, oh, she's done it.
Yeah.
And that's brilliant. And I think it encourages more people to not be perfect, but aspire to get 1% closer every single day.
Have that goal.
What they're doing.
Go for it. Yeah. Because you are goals driven. I've seen it, and process driven as well. that's definitely.
And that's the difference between goals and processes, right? The goal of every single running race is to win.
Yeah.
But that goal isn't going to make you win.
No.
The process isn't the training.
The training, getting in there.
Win.
Yeah, exactly.
You can use both together.
Yeah.
To come first.
And that's what you also do, is inspire the others to follow suit, right? I think one thing I have seen from that very first time we ever met was QuickBooks Ask the Expert, right? One thing I saw from that very first one is about your aim is to go, right, I don't just want to learn to do X, Y, Z. I don't want to just learn to scale my practice. I don't want to just learn to, be the best employer I can, but you want to teach others how to do that as well. Everyone else in the industry, I say everyone else, especially if we went back 5-10 years ago, people would not be wanting to talk about that. Why do you think that you want to tell that story?
That's the whole point. The reason it is the way it is because it is the way it is.
Yeah.
Everyone just follows what was in last year's file and does it that way and carries it forward and doesn't ask questions. And again, I think I trained at a really big top 100 firm. And there was so much right with that business model, but also I learned a lot about what I like and what I don't like and what I think clients like. And bringing people along for the journey and doing great storytelling is I think, such a lovely part of being human.
Yeah.
Like, since people were in caves doing drawings on the wall, we have told stories.
Yep.
And as accountants, we tell stories. We use the numbers to make sure that those numbers accurately reflect the story and the real life that's happened behind the scenes. And so my job is just taking that storytelling and sharing it through content to lots of people. But again, it is that sort of like, it's not perfect, but like doing something and like continuing to do it is better than not doing anything at all.
Yeah. Because you've seen that content from other people outside the industry, right? And you've gone, well, that's piqued my interest.
Yeah, like if I'm creating content or I'm doing like research on content, I'm not looking at other accountants.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Stephen Bartlett, Grace Beverly. Like I'm
Yeah.
looking at the best content creators in the world and being like, why can we not
And
do that?
how can you take aspiration from that? Exactly. Okay, let's go a little bit back on script then. So we've got to give credit to Caroline and the crew for this event. You've seen it, what, was last year your first one, or have you been to Manchester before that?
First Accountants Manchester.
Yeah. So last year, Manchester, it felt like it was a big step up. This year, it feels like a whole different event, right? Like for the positive.
Yeah. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, do I want to go to Accountants Manchester? Is it the same as London? The answer is it is not the same as London. I think lots of accountants have the same brain, same personality type. We're all very similar. We may or may not all sit on a spectrum of some kind. And Accountants London can be very overwhelming, overstimulating. It's 2 days, it's huge. I would describe Accountants Manchester as like London, but with the volume turned down a bit.
Yeah.
It's just a bit more calm, a bit more relaxed. It's 1 day, but you feel like you have more time to talk to people. Even the building space, like being just like so open on the ceiling, doesn't feel like you're in an air-conditioned thing and you've not spoken to anyone all day. So yeah, it's not like London at all, but for like really good reasons.
Yeah.
I liked it so much, I opened an office here. So, you know.
It literally was like 2 weeks after, wasn't it?
We didn't have an office this time last year.
Yeah.
So
I'll always remember when you first announced, I was like, is that because of Manchester?
literally just have offices where Accountexes.
Right. Okay. So what's been your highlight of this though? Obviously you being on the stage and as I saw was packed to the rafters as normal, but what's been your highlight this time round? Have you seen anything new this time round, anything like that? Or is it the same old positive vibes you've had every other accounting convention you've been to?
The highlight for me is always the same, which is meeting people who are like, I saw this post, or like I follow you online and I do this, and just being able to like look people in the eye and realize that you're not, you know, on the days that you don't want to make content or you're not sure that piece of content is like perfect, meeting the people that consume it and being like, actually, this probably would benefit one person and being able to post that. So like just meeting people, I mean, really people like us. If accounting conferences didn't exist, I would have to make my own opportunities to meet people, which feels weird.
Yeah.
This is just one amazing, huge meet and greet, and I'm sure you have the same experience.
Yeah.
To be facilitated, but supported by brands, and to have that experience around it.
Have that human connection, right? Like, and as you always said, that's what it's about, right? Is having that opportunity. Okay. You are definitely someone who is the queen of processes, the queen of getting things done and everything else. But what is your advice to anyone listening today who's maybe never been to a conference before, maybe a little bit apprehensive about it, but what's your advice for them coming out of this and taking action from it? Because we all have to invest a day of our time. We've got to go out the office. And for you, you've been bringing quite a lot of your team here as well, right?
Yeah.
So how do you put best practices in them to get the most out of it as well? Because I think you've nailed it, right? You'll go to an event like this and you know now how much time you're going to spend on the floor to how much time you're going to step away. How do you encourage your team to get the most out of it and make sure you get the return on investment from them being here?
So we recently did a vision board session with the team.
All comes back.
To get them to set some really big personal goals, business goals, like career goals. You had Caitlin on the podcast earlier, and she applied to speak on this podcast because she put a picture of me on her vision board. And I spoke to her about it and said, like, what do you mean by that? And she said, like, I just love watching you do these things. Like, where did you learn to do it? And I said, you don't learn, just
do it. Yeah.
You. And so I sent her the link that you sent me, and that was pretty. And so we do quite a lot of goal setting beforehand to make sure you understand, is the goal, I want my CPD points and I would like to speak to my friends, is one goal. If it's like I want to do some research into some technology which could impact me that I'm going to present at the next board meeting, that's another.
Amazing.
It's getting speaking opportunities, if it's tech driven, if it's networking, like just be really like there's not ever going to be one blueprint that's like this is the perfect day of Accountex. You go to this talk at this time and this talk at this time. But if you're clear on this is what would make a good day at Accountex, this is what it would look like to me. Is it networking? Is it just seeing your friends? Like we're self-employed, we're lonely, we don't have loads of friends, and like when our practice was much smaller than it is now, like I didn't feel like I had colleagues to talk to, and this was my work summer party. So if that is what looks like a success to you, do that. Like don't put pressure on yourself to go to 17 talks and make notes on everything Rebecca Bennyworth is saying. Like just come and walk around and meet your friends and have a chat, have some lunch together, do that. But if you want to find some new software, make some connections, try and chat to someone and get a sponsorship deal, like so, but just reflect on it first, because I think we've probably all been to conferences where you haven't really thought about it beforehand, and you've just got like maybe you've been busy in your practice and you just get the train and turn up, and then you probably leave being like, I'm not really sure. Like it didn't really feel like great value.
I love that, and I've never thought about doing a vision board for it, but it comes all in one big circle. You're right. Like, give yourself that time to think about it.
Yeah.
Because everyone says to me, "Oh, I go through the map and I, put a circle around here and a thing around there," and they're great techniques, but actually, take a step back.
Where do you want your practice to be the next time you come to Accountex? That dictate what sessions you're attending now and where you're spending your time.
Yeah.
Because if in a year's time you want to have exited your practice, that's probably a very different day at Accountex to someone who wants to scale their practice, have like removed themselves from their practice and have recruited a team, or like done some outsourcing. Like they're all different days.
Yeah, 100%. So I know very few people in this world who loves the industry more than you, and I feel like you've forced you've forced it into wellness of loving the industry, because it's not a perfect industry. But what is it that you love the most about this industry? Why have you chosen this industry? You could have done so much good in so many other industries. We're glad, we're grateful you're here.
I'm wasted here.
But why? Why this industry?
I was just a young girl who loved maths, and I just always really felt like I found my place. In accounting. A couple of elements of my childhood made life feel chaotic sometimes, and I always found such like peace and solitude with numbers that I could like reconcile and make sense. And I think I have a passion for the industry because it's just never ever what people expect it to be. Like I think it's boring. Everyone's got brown carpet. And no personality. And at every touch point, I'm just blown away by the things that people can do and the niches that they find and the work that they do with clients. That's why I do so much storytelling, to be like, it's not what you think it is. Like it can literally be whatever you want it to be. And for kids leaving school who, like me, were told by a careers advisor not to become an accountant because it's boring, actually
we need to change that perception.
It's the new careers advice, right? People are searching for that online, and so all of these questions feed into each other.
Yeah, no, 100%. But what would you change about the industry? What is that one thing that keeps you up at night and you go, if only? And if I'm completely honest, I think this question's weighted on you, because there's probably many things you'll change. Yeah. Let's keep this to, a couple of ones that you just think are the most impactful.
I would do more at early stage careers advice to solve the recruitment crisis, bring more people into the industry. Like all of the conversations I had on the clinic today had something to do with recruitment, capacity. Should I outsource? Should I do this? Like I'm core values driven and don't want to outsource, but what do I do if I can't hire? Like there is a recruitment crisis in the industry, and that's come from a reason. It's come from university fees tripled approximately 15 years ago, and that's exactly the same time that we're now seeing the crisis hit. Because people were stopping going to university, they were pursuing alternative careers rather than pursuing a career in finance. And so careers advice really, I think, would do so much.
And there are people trying to make that effect, right? And it's difficult, isn't it? Because people like yourself, there's others in the industry who are trying to make, but we all need to, like, this has got to be that thing where the whole industry needs to get up off their arse and just work together on it, isn't it? It's tricky because it doesn't matter how loud you shout. One person, handful of people are not going to make a difference, are they? We've got to do it as a group. So,
well, you say that, but of our 20 team members now, 4 of them decided to be accountants because they found my content.
Yeah, true. There's a ripple effect, right?
A bit.
Yeah.
Like my goal in life is that people remember the accounting industry before and after me. And they're like,
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Okay, one thing on your podcast that I was very excited to hear about was when you explained about your ideal clients. And if they don't tick the box, they're out there. If they get a single red flag, out the door they go. So just for anyone, just go through quickly your ideal client. What are you looking for? What is it that's there? Because I think that's one of the things that definitely sets you apart from the traditional accountant. You have set your goal. You know exactly what it is you're looking for. How did you get to that? Like, what drew you to there?
So I feel like we've niched without having a niche.
Yeah.
If that is even English to anyone. So we do not have a niche in terms of the clients that we work with or like that we're specifically targeting people. I think like with all practices who don't have a niche, we have like subcategories of clients. So we have a lot of celebrities, content creators, and then groups of construction clients and random things. But we don't have a niche. And the niche that has accidentally come into play in our practice is values. And so at the point of booking a meeting, an automated email goes out to the prospective client telling them what our values are and to cancel the meeting if they don't align with them. In the meeting, we go through everything. We go through the prospective client call template checklist. We then prepare a proposal, and included in that proposal is our core values. And not just the headline core values, it's literally a table of these are the core values. These are how they impact you as a client and mean that you get great service. And this is what we expect from you. So an extra column on them.
Yeah.
And then they sign, which is time and date stamped, that proposal.
The actual including your values. Yeah.
Values.
Yeah.
And then, we've built a practice that disengages the clients if they don't adhere to our core values. We've customized our CRM platform with a red flag toggle. Any member of the team can turn on the red flag, and every single month at board level, we review every red flag, and then one of three things happens. One is it's just a quick chat with the client. Could be someone's red flagged them because they maybe haven't respected our time. Maybe they booked a meeting and not turned up, didn't say a reason why, maybe done that more than once. So that's a conversation with the client. You've been red flagged, but I just need to let you know, like, the standard that we expect. The other end of that spectrum is a flat out disengage. Again, I feel like we've all disengaged with red flag clients, so I'll save that for another podcast, but disengagements. And then somewhere in the middle is my favorite. So one of our core values is don't be a dick.
Yeah.
And the middle option is maybe someone's been a dick, but we're like, you could just be under a lot of pressure or you could be a dick. How do we work it out? That's where we email them and say, you can either apologize to the member of staff or we'll disengage.
Yeah. I love that. I love the fact that you've got I suppose, balls, isn't it, to do that, right? Like, we're in an industry where we are not taught to disengage. We are taught to hold on to every mollass of income that we're supposed to have, right?
At top 100, if I was like, this client is being rude to me, the partner would look at the fee value and profit margin.
Exactly.
They were like, oh yeah, that's really bad, isn't it? And if the fee was good, they'd be like,
Rachel, can you just ignore it? Yeah.
Yeah. And so, as we've just said, there is a recruitment crisis. How are more practices not building their business this way? Because it is easier with my marketing function to find new clients than it is to find great staff.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Okay, let's look back 12 months ago when you were here for your first ever Manchester Creation Clinic, which, by the way, let's just bring that into it. Where did Creation Clinic come from? Because they're one of those things where you just think, wow, like that is just, as far as activation zones go in this industry, you got to be proud of coming up with that idea.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah, so I pitched to Caroline Hobden that I felt like it was a really big missed opportunity in conferences like this. I feel like lots of people post that train selfie on the way there. They post like a LinkedIn post on the way home. But outside of that, there is so much good stuff happening here and like no one's capturing it. Combined with the other side, when I come, people will come up to me and be like, how do you
do X, Y, Z? Yeah.
Do I need this big list of very expensive computer equipment, which if you're Aaron,
it's a complete yes. Yeah.
But for everyone else, I'm like, no, stop procrastinating, get on your iPhone and start doing the content. Yeah. And so said to Caroline, one, I could solve 17 problems in one go. Like, why don't we help people to feel better about making content? Show them that if they can do it in a room full of people, they can do it at home on their own.
Yeah.
Boost their confidence. Give their dopamine receptors a very positive association with being at Accountex and being like, I did something for myself and for my business today, whilst also making sure that every single person that walks through the door of Accountex is being given an opportunity to create content, share the fact that they're here online at Accountex, and make sure that LinkedIn blows up on the day that we're at Accountex.
Yeah.
And that's my job.
I love it. I love it. And yeah, it's one of those, it came out of nowhere, but it was such a, like, why has this not been done? Yeah, why was this not done? And obviously you got to bring your brand to it. You got your pinkness, you put your chair over. Back on that story though. So 12 months ago, you think back to 12 months ago, Rachel, 12 months from now, what piece of tech or gadget or service, or for you probably process, bit of nugget of information, what would you go back now 12 months and tell Rachel 12 months ago and say, look, please implement or use or get this now, because this has been an absolute game changer. And really, we just want it so that the people listening can go, you know what, I need to start doing that now.
Okay, you gave me permission to say a process note. So yeah, this time last year, I was still really, really involved in prospective client calls.
Okay.
Up until, we hired a business development manager 18 months ago.
Yeah.
Was doing every single prospective client. And like, people used to see my schedules with like back to back to back to back to back in 30-minute slots with like not even time to have a wee in between. And over the last 12 months have built the process.
I love it.
Make sure that every single prospective client call is not handled by me, done at the same standard, same values, same process, same fees. And I spoke earlier today about how to remove yourself from the day-to-day running of your firm, not to just post on LinkedIn that you're on holiday all of the time, or to retire or to exit, but actually to make sure that your practice is worth more, your team are really happy and engaged, and that the time that you do have is way more impactful than the time that you're like, look how busy I am. And so, since then I've built the prospective client call checklist, which is my top downloaded product ever online.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, other people love it too. And it literally has a list of like your core values and your red flags. So we have a list of red flags that if clients hit those red flags in a call, the quote has to come to me to sign off before we quote for them. It's like, have they changed accountants more than once in 2 years?
Yeah.
Overdrawn directors' loan accounts, things like that. And it's not a no, it's a...
We should really look into this. Bit more due diligence needed. Yeah. Awesome. So that's who you'd go back after 12 months. What about if we look 12 months forward? Now, this is getting a cliche topic, but we bring it in anyway.
You're talking to Mrs. Vision Board.
There's this little word called AI floating around.
Yeah.
Now, is this a buzzword that we just got to embrace? Is this just a, flash in the pan? Or do you actually see this as going to be a force of good? And you must be using AI already. Like, how do you see it in 12 months' time?
I love AI. I think AI has a fantastic place in the accounting industry. I don't think people should be scared. The only people who should be scared are the ones who act like robots, because the only risk you have of being replaced by a robot is if you behave like one. So if my full-time job was hoovering carpets and the carpet hoovering AI bot that hoovers carpets whilst realizing there's a sofa in the way, I would probably be worried about my job.
Yeah.
So you're only going to be replaced by a robot if you behave like one and if your service can be delivered by one. Bookkeeping, like intuitive, intelligent bank reconciliation bots exist with high accuracy levels, as high as a human.
Yeah.
And so actually that gives us an opportunity to cut off
100%.
a chunk of work from a member of staff, give them that profit margin back to deliver more service with more values. I'm talking key account management, seeing clients in person rather than doing it by email, calling them up rather than AI just gives us an opportunity to do more, be more
impactful, right?
Yeah, and be more human. Leaning into the robots gives you an opportunity to be more human.
I love it. Rachel, we would talk all day, every day, but this is the Pitstop.
People with 15 minutes.
This is the Pitstop podcast. We're supposed to keep it short. We're supposed to get just through the topic to go forward, but we are planning.
We're plotting.
And we have a cool location. I think we've got a good story to tell. I want to tell everyone about the story, so we will definitely look into it. But please use that camera.
Oh
Plug to your heart's content. We can fill the rest of the 45 minutes if you want until the venue closes. But please talk about your podcast. Tell people why you should be there. I want more podcasts out there. I'm so happy that you've gone out there and set one up. So go talk about it. Plug away. The floor is yours.
I can't follow that intro without mentioning the fact that you were my first ever friend in the accounting industry, and you have encouraged so many of the things that I've done, and like literally make me a better person, make content in different ways. I feel emotional. And because of Aaron, I am now the host of the Practice Owners podcast, which is your blueprint to perfecting your own firm. This is not a race to the top of turnover. This is not a willy waving, how many clients have you got competition. It's not all focused on growth. It is about changing the way that you feel about your firm, just making it feel better and more impactful and more community driven. You can do it with or without a team, and even if you're new to practice. So I would love to see you there. And yeah, shout out to Aaron.
Wow. I mean, I am listening to the podcast, and what I must say is it's a totally different spin. It's almost
different.
You're changing what a podcast is, and that does not surprise me. You know what I mean?
Disrupting the
podcasting world. So you've been there, done that. You got T-shirt disruption. Keep disrupting. Keep pushing.
Thank you, Aaron.
The industry needs you. Keep doing what you're doing, Rachel.
Can do it.
We have got more content coming your way. Thank you, everyone, for all of the content that you've seen. Thank you. Keep making sure you subscribe, liked, all that sort of stuff. You know the drill by now. We've got more content coming your way, more venues and more conferences coming. So make sure you subscribe and keep an eye out for the most requested guest to ever be asked for an Ask the Accountant. I'm sure she'll be back. She wants a top trump card, I heard. So
shiny.
You want a shiny. So we will make that happen.
Shiny.
We've heard the comments. They're coming your way. Thank you, everyone. See you next time. Thank you, Rachel. It's been amazing.
Manchester 2024.
Done.
Over and out.
Boom.